Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back. A quick hello and goodbye to Zeke in the chat. What's up, Zach, Roman Regent, Yvonne, viewers on Kick. Who's here in the Kick chat kicking it over here? Pun intended. Today is going to be a fun stream because there's a lot of really interesting price action in the market. I went live last night and it was a lot more 50-50, just waiting for more data. Look, today I've got some opinions, all right? And hopefully I'm not horribly wrong on every single one of them, but I've got some opinions. And I'm excited to go over them, all right? What's up, Max joining in, DJ Tardis, how's it going? There's a lot to break down, so we might as well get right into it. Starting off with Bitcoin, and I did see what you said, Zach. Sure, we can take a look at some different time frames. I mainly just look at the daily, but let's go into some other stuff. And on the daily, again, I don't view this as a complete wedge. What it would be more of a complete wedge is if that rejected and then we went lower one more time. But this will do for now. I mean, technically you have a bullish engulfing on the daily. We're going to use the fibs here. You went up to about a 50% retrace. You have gone pretty much halfway back up from that sell-off we saw in January. We've gone halfway back up to where we topped out at. And there is a little bit of hidden bearish divergence on the MACD, right? We move on over into the 4-hour chart. It's not any clear pattern, but this is probably how I'd look at it on the 4-hour. Simply, that's your triangle pattern. I mean, look, you have 4 touches on your demand line, 4 touches on your supply line. At the end of the day, it is complete. And it's, it probably should break out within the next week or so, but right now it's just a waiting period. I actually was looking at the weekly time frame on Bitcoin earlier today because I was looking at Coinbase's chart and Mara and Wright and a few others, so I wanted to see how Bitcoin was looking. If we take everything off this chart for 1 second, there's no major levels here. I mean, I guess if we chart that level out at 48.2K, that's kind of where we topped out at. But the bigger thing I see here is that we put in this bullish pin bar on the weekly, and we've now at least for 2 weeks confirmed that is a good candle. So buyers really defended 38K. We've held it. And if we really look into what happened over here, 2 of our biggest candles in the last few months really took place at that same exact level, right? So there is some sort of demand here that we have been holding at 40K. You can even take a look at these 5 consecutive candles or 6 consecutive candles right here, where constantly you are holding 40K. So that new mini base that we have seen on the chart is right around 40K. We even grabbed some liquidity once we broke under it here at 38K. In general, just holding above this, it's not a lot of price action to work off of, but look, the trend is your friend in this scenario as well. I'd say that there is more room for continuation. I know a lot of people view this weekly shooting star, and that even was a bearish engulfing candle as a pretty toppy candle, and their volume was there as well. But it had no follow through. I mean, yes, your MACD lost positive momentum, your RSI cooled off a bit, but you're not even overbought right now on the weekly, and there's more room to the upside. So I'm thinking that this Bitcoin rally may continue. Again, we still have to see how this continues to develop on the daily. That's where my thought process is at right now. Ethereum had a nice bullish engulfing candle today. And if we're not including these little green wicks on the MACD histogram, you have pretty much triple hidden bullish divergence on the MACD and the RSI on the daily, which implies further upside continuation. So, I mean, yeah, I think the big level here was 2140, and that was your highs from last April, and pulled into support 4 times at the end of last year. And once again, you came back down to that level to test it pretty much at the end of January. Now we're bouncing off of it yet again. So crypto not looking too bad. Another thing outside of the US stock market that we should talk about right now is the Hang Seng Index and Chinese stocks, which are going pretty nuts right now. And I talked about this on the daily. You have classic bullish divergence on the MACD, have a double bottom at 15K from your October low until the January low. The overall picture is a double bottom, but even in the short term, we're working on a higher low double bottom. We go over to the weekly time frame, you get a bullish engulfing candle if you hold your gains. You also have classic bullish divergence. If we go over to the monthly time frame, okay, you've held this trend line for 26 years, and now you're once again bouncing off of it for the second time in the past 2 years. We go all the way down to the 4-hour time frame, and we start to draw out a pattern. You're getting a downsloping channel breakout right now. This is really a sector I want to focus on. One of my friends from the floor has been just talking about Chinese stocks like crazy, and Yin today, which is a very popular ETF there, he's been keeping a very close eye on this one, and it went up 17% today. I mean, this is a huge wedge pattern, the double bottom at 15. Baba is a swing I alerted last week, and it had a pretty good day today. It's up 5% pretty much on the day. It's up another 1% after hours, and we are getting a big breakout on Baba right now, where of course it already broke out of this wedge. It already had the classic bullish divergence, and now it's reclaiming this $77 level. Look at this low from May of 2022 and May of 2023. We're now breaking above it with after hours confirmation. There's really no resistance until the 200 moving average. The first target here is very possible. Even on a weekly time frame, it looks pretty good. Classic bullish divergence on the weekly is set up, and draw out a weekly wedge as well. That's testing a breakout. I mean, Chinese stocks are really starting to set up here, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. So you really just went back to retest your 2015 all-time lows. Just off the top of my head, let's take a look at some other Chinese names. Baidu was up 4% today. It's another name with classic bullish divergence on the weekly. Another name with a wedge on the daily. NIO was up 12% today. And you got a gap up on volume. You reclaimed the 559 key level, which dates back to some highs and lows from 2018 and 2019. I mean, look, if we want to make a pattern on NIO as well, it's there. Your wedge breakout on NIO today. Chinese stocks are really doing things. I really don't know how else to put it. We are seeing some really big technical changes in these names, and I definitely wanted to make sure I highlighted that tonight. So remember, there's going to be pullbacks along the way. We just came off of a really hot day for Chinese stocks. Maybe we can look into some others. CPNG, let me rechart this a little bit. There's a wedge there. LI is another big one. This was up 11% today, and we see that there's a wedge right there. Broke out of it's IQ. This was up 12% today. These are just some names off the top of my head, but these Chinese stocks are really beginning to set up, so I wanted to definitely mention that. And apart from that, we had some earnings today. We had big one, Snapchat. I literally woke up this morning and I was like, honestly, first of all, the technicals looked pretty good going into earnings. If there wasn't earnings, I might have even put out a swing on this. You had a bull flag breakout with the bullish engulfing candle on volume yesterday with confirmed hidden bullish divergence. It was actually a really good looking chart. You even broke above this resistance and you entered a gap zone. Like, this was a beautiful looking chart, but even myself in my mind, I'm not even joking, when I woke up, I'm like, look, Snapchat is reporting earnings today. I don't see Snapchat growing as a company. I just don't. And their whole entire augmented reality thing, I think it's pretty cool, but just not that many people use it. And I feel like revenue from advertisers is definitely going to be pulling out when you have pretty much X going private and then Meta just taking over social media, as well as companies like Apple getting into VR. How is Snapchat going to hope to involve themselves in that in the future? There's just so many different things to think about. And I see Snapchat being non-existent in 3 to 4 years, at least in its current state. They're obviously not just a social media app. They're a company, right? They can create a new app. That's always possible. Facebook reinvented many times, and now it's Meta. I think they should do something like that. I think they should just let that yellow ghost app go, make something new, and revive their business, because apart from that crazy run after the COVID crash, this has not really been able to get above $20. So I'm not trying to hate on Snapchat here. Look, it's getting close to that 200-day moving average test, but that's what I was thinking this morning, and I just genuinely forgot to remember that they had earnings at the close. And also, I don't know, I never really play earnings in the first place, so I still might have not even done it, just because you never know. But there was that, and then I believe there was also PayPal today. And this is a swing in premium. It already hit the first target pretty quickly. It still has multiple other targets, and it's been trying to break out of this 200-day moving average. I actually did not see this at after hours. Oh, I guess they're not reporting. They report tomorrow, so we will see tomorrow after hours. It was not today. My mistake there. But yeah, I mean, today, look, it broke out. Well, just like Snapchat had a good chart going into earnings, you never know what can happen after the earnings. So we will see then. But the chart itself, in terms of PayPal, looks good to me. It's trying to break it, and it's just going to come down to the earnings. I've not really kept up too much with this company, but they're pretty much, the company's expected to post net income of 1.29 billion, up from 920. That's a lot higher than 921 million a year earlier. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Another name that was reporting this week was LLY, which looks like the earnings already came out, and it looks like it gapped up and then kind of went down to fill the gap, and it closed pretty flat. So looking into this earnings, let's see if I have any articles here. LLY hits fresh record high as obesity drug sales take off. The forecasts were 2022 profit above the Wall Street estimates. Their Zepbound drug reached $175 million in the first weeks of launch. Another name that was reporting this week was Philip Morris. This reports Thursday. It's a very volatile stock, if that's the right word to use. It doesn't move that much. It's really been between 90 and 100 for about a year. So I'm not too focused on that, but it does have quite the market cap. So a bunch of different earnings things going on. Quick look into some other sectors before we talk about the overall market. And I do see who's here saying China has their Lunar New Year on the 10th, and they entered the year of the dragon, which some say is bullish outside of your expertise. I've been playing BILI a lot, plus 12% today. We can take a quick look at that before we head into these other markets. And yes, SIN is owned by PMX, and that's something I have been keeping an eye on because who isn't? Not necessarily that PM owns ZIN, but just what's been happening with everybody using ZINs right now. But BILI, wow, this $9 support dates back to 2018, and it's reversing off of it again with the double bottom. This is a very, very interesting stock. I'm actually going to keep this on my watch list. Great job mentioning that. Who's here? I'm going to have to make like a little bit of a Chinese section on my watch list. So, pretty much what's going on. Let's talk about other markets. US 2-year still flirting with this supply line. It looked like it was breaking out yesterday, just didn't really backtest successfully today. It did close with the bearish engulfing candle, but this is a little bit of a level from the past couple of weeks. It's retesting that level, it seems. And then the same thing with the 10-year. It's very close, but it really didn't confirm it yet. Dollar currency index might be going for a back test of the 104 level right now. Gold, silver, nothing much has changed. Let's do a quick look at the Dow Jones. Looks like whatever pattern this was broke up, flipped the trend line that was a supply line into a demand line, bounced off of it. So nice move here for the Dow Jones. But, all right, this market is beginning to look toppy to me, okay? I know, it's a very bullish market. We did see Nvidia, which is now down after hours, get pretty much a bearish engulfing on the daily. If we're being very, if we're being literal about it, it got a bearish engulfing candle by 2 cents. It closed 2 cents under yesterday's open, down a little bit after hours, and by a little bit I mean over 1%. And look, this is looking like a hanging man candle, bearish engulfing candle. Volume was pretty much parallel to yesterday. RSI is overbought. Nvidia looks to pull back soon, in my opinion. Nice run from 500 to 700. I'm thinking around this 700 area is when we see our first significant pullback on Nvidia, and maybe go down at least first to test this 631 gap fill. All right. I believe there was also a bigger Fibonacci here. If we go to 2021 all-time highs to 2022 lows, your next major fib extension was like 730. So in time, yeah, it could definitely get there. We will see. That is Nvidia for right now. And overall right now, the Qs. All right, let's focus on this. So let's create that. There we go. All right, I did enter QQQ puts today. I got today's expiration, I got tomorrow's expiration, and I got the day after's expiration. I did lose a little bit of money on the contracts that expired today, and I'm pretty flat on the contracts that expire tomorrow and the day after. So I did just enter QQQ puts. This is the first time I've entered QQQ puts this year, especially once I'm swinging. So why did I do that? Let's talk about it. All right. First of all, on the daily time frame, we have classic bearish divergence on both the MACD and the RSI. Okay, and what I'm doing with my puts right now is more related to shorter time frames. I might actually, after these puts are done, go trade some puts for a couple weeks out, because what I'm talking about on the daily is not pretty much going to play out by Friday. This is going to take a couple of weeks to play out. But on the daily time frame, you have classic bearish divergence on both oscillators. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches in this rising wedge. It's now a complete pattern. You completed a rising wedge. You've now found a decent resistance at 430, where we've rejected it for pretty much the past 2 weeks. And then today you also printed a bearish engulfing candle, and you're losing volume. In my opinion, it looks like the buyers are starting to back off a little bit from this 430 level. Everything I'm talking about right now gets invalidated above the 430 level. So that's really your daily time frame. I haven't looked at the weekly, but the weekly also has classic bearish divergence potentially. The 4 hour has classic bearish divergence on the RSI, not the MACD. Okay, and the 4 hour also printed on the first candle today a bearish engulfing candle. If we go over to the 1 hour chart, you can see this is not actually the same rising wedge I just showed you on the daily. This is a new pattern I just threw on the 1 hour chart, more short term. And you can see here 1 touch, 2 touch. I don't know if you can search the third, but at least 4 over here, 5. And anything pretty much under going back up to revisit the supply line would be a partial rise, which means if before going up to that supply line, we fall down to this demand line, there is a 70% chance of breaking down. And you're also right under resistance. So again, pretty much what I'm thinking is, as long as we don't break above this zone I have over here that you haven't been able to break at 430 on the Qs, and we in turn get to this demand line first, there's a 70% chance of breaking down. So time is running out, right? There's about another week or so for that to happen, and we've already spent pretty much this week and maybe even Friday afternoon just going sideways. We've now spent 3 days almost consolidating, and the last time we did that was pretty much over here, and it led to a gap down. And again, we did recover it, and there were some amazing earnings that helped to recover it, but the only reason I see this part of the rally taking place is primarily due to those earnings. So when that's pretty much wrapping up as it is right now, we don't have that stimulating the market. And if we go to even lower time frames like the 15-minute chart, your short-term level that the Qs did successfully hold today was 425. So that's the more short-term level. I'm looking for breakdown confirmation tomorrow. We will see if it does happen. 423.23 is the next level after that, and then there's a gap fill right above 422. So pretty much somewhere in this area, all right, we could be popping out to go lower. And that's why I did enter some puts. If I'm wrong, like I said, that invalidates above 430, which would be about another 0.5% higher on the Qs, and that's that. So I am flipping the bearish on the Qs here. I am seeing some signs of a short-term pullback. If we compare it to the SPY, I actually don't think the SPY looks as bad. You don't have that same bearish engulfing setup you have on the daily for the Qs. You don't have the classic bearish divergence, at least on the MACD. You have it on the RSI. Go over to the 4 hour, you do have classic bearish divergence on both oscillators. So like I said, these variables are starting to flip. This is the first time I'm starting to see that. But the Qs just look a little bit more bearish to me because the SPY doesn't have a 4 hour bearish engulfing candle, but the Qs do. All right. So I don't really want to do too much analysis on the SPY right here. I think one thing we did see though, that I do want to mention, because again, they do move relatively similarly, was the SPY was able to break out of this triangle at the end of the day. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of touches. It's not 5 touches really, but I'd say the SPY actually still looks okay above 491. It was resistance from the end of last month, and then it flipped into support this Monday. So you can keep holding 491.5. I think you're all right on the SPY. The Qs are the ones that look a little bit more bearish to me. And hey, look, SPY was up about 0.2% today. The Qs were down 0.2% today. So it's a 0.4% spread. Even though they do have different weightings and they move differently, you can see that, you know, the Qs tend to be a little bit more volatile, but the Qs were the ones that did underperform today. But what did outperform today, surprisingly, and this is a rotation theme we're kind of seeing, is that the small caps, the Russell 2000 was up 0.9% today. And I'm still not a fan of that lower high on the daily, but to be fair, you did print a bullish engulfing candle, which is the opposite of the Q's bearish engulfing candle. If we go over to the 1 hour time frame, I mean, this is just simply a range here, but take a look at this wedge starting to form heading into tomorrow, which literally is testing a breakout, and it seems like you're just pretty much at the same level after hours. So it's like the last wedge, it did play out. This wedge we will see tomorrow doesn't look as bad as the Qs, but if I were to pick one out of all of them, even including the Dow Jones, I think right now the Qs look the worst. And like, look, if we look into some large caps now, let's see, where should we start? Let's start off with Apple. Apple, okay, bullish engulfing candle, classic bullish divergence, bounced off the 200 moving average. I think Apple is an outlier. They also have the Vision Pro catalyst, not bad. Tesla is a swing. I like Tesla as well. And then let's just talk about Tesla in general. I'm a fan of how you just got a bullish pin bar followed with a bullish engulfing candle off of this demand line. So Apple and Tesla are two names I like. And if we pretty much move on, we can see there are some names, however, that don't look so great. So Microsoft, classic bearish divergence confirmed on the daily. Broke down from that upsloping channel. NVIDIA, we already talked about it. Hanging man, overbought. AMD, getting very close to testing a breakdown, okay? So here's the thing. I just showed you two names, and I said they actually look good, right? Those names were Apple, which has gone relatively sideways for the past 2 months, and Tesla, which has gone down for the past month. So these names did not really take the QQQ higher. What did take the QQQ higher? The other names, Microsoft running to new all-time highs, NVIDIA going from 500 to 700, AMD following NVIDIA, but now potentially testing a breakdown, or actually testing a breakdown and potentially seeing lower prices because of it. All right, Netflix went up on earnings. Now it's starting to lose that. Amazon went up on earnings, but it hasn't continued higher. I hope you're getting the point. The names that have brought the Qs higher were not Tesla and Apple. They were the names I just talked about. They were chips and a couple of names that did well on earnings. Those names are getting exhausted, and they were red today, and that's why the Qs were red today, even though Tesla and Apple were green. So people will very quickly think, you know, the Qs kind of look bearish, but Tesla and Apple look okay. Aren't those two of the largest holdings? But again, just because they're much larger holdings doesn't mean that they were the reason for that rally. More of the reasons for that rally are the charts that do kind of look a little bit bearish right now. So again, this is a thesis. It can be wrong, but this is the reason why I entered QQQ puts today, and that's what I'm looking at. Google just looks 50-50. I wouldn't say it looks bullish or bearish. I see this one going either way. So I wanted to mention that these chips, I mean, I haven't really looked too much into SMCI, but this one also pretty much painted a hanging man candle today. However, I'm going to say, look, this is a beautiful run. It's above its CMAs, I'm sure, pretty much all of them. It's until you get like a red candle, it's hard to tell on that, on a name like that especially. So wanted to just take a look at a few of those. I mean, we already, just to give an update on the swings, Tesla's now back in profit. We already just talked about it. Baba, we also talked about. This one's in profit. Riot is almost back in profit. It was up 5% today. Like I said earlier, I think Bitcoin looks good. Gold is the one that's really not doing well. This is quite literally 4 cents away from the stop loss. And then Clove had a 2% green date, but it's been going sideways. So not too much to update there. Another key name I want to mention, Zeke and I were talking about in the Discord today, is Coinbase. You can see this high from August of 2022 and July of 2023. It's now back down to that level. If we use Fibonacci, you're also perfectly lined up at the 618 there. So this is a very, very key make or break level for Coinbase, another name to keep an eye on. And those are pretty much the updates that I wanted to give tonight. Hopefully you all enjoyed. I really appreciate all the support. We will see. Again, I'm not bearish on the Russell or the SPY. I am bearish on the Qs. So I don't know. To be bearish on, and we're also going to include the Dow Jones, to be bearish on 1 out of 4 indices is not the best edge. And that's why I'm not going to get puts on anything else for right now. I'm just having a little bit of puts on the Qs to see if, look, they kind of led this whole entire market rally with the AI stuff. Maybe they would be the first index to start pulling back. We will see over the next couple of days if I'm right or wrong about that. And I will be in the Discord tomorrow night. I'm not sure if I'm going to live stream tomorrow night. We'll see if something crazy happens in the market. I'll kind of force myself to, but if it's more of just like a mixed day, might take the day off. I do have a late night class, so we will see. Nonetheless, if you didn't already get the announcement, let's go to the announcements channel. There's 1 spot left if you want to get lifetime for 35% off, and I'm literally taking it off the website. You're not going to be able to use this link to get lifetime for 35% off, and that's not going to be coming back until my algo comes out later this year. If you grab this, you also can get unlimited access to the algo. So whenever I do release the algo, don't worry about paying for it. You're going to be able to use it, and don't worry about paying for it next year. All right, as long as it's active and it's running, which hopefully pretty much means as long as TradingView is running, you'll be able to use it. So it doesn't matter if I make the algo $500 a month, which I'm not going to make it that crazy, but you don't even have to worry about that. It's already included. So you're getting 35% off lifetime for the Discord, for everything in the Discord, and you're getting the algo for free forever. That's one of the best deals I've ever done. If you want it, we've already had multiple signups for this. There was 1 leftover spot I had. Whoever is in the position to take advantage of this deal right now, I recommend you take a look at it. I'll drop it one time in the YouTube chat. I do see the Roman Regent mentioning Palantir. I don't know why I did not look at Palantir today with the crazy move it made. Yeah, it was up 31% at the close, and it's your highest candle close since November of 2021. I mean, it broke out of the wedge heading into the week, and then earnings just kind of made it soar. So if it can clear this level and hold it, your next major level is 27. All right, we'll see what happens. So have a good night. Thank you for watching the stream. See you again tomorrow night. That final spot for a lifetime, literally this is your last chance until summer, is in the chat. There's a very decent chance I'm gonna end the stream and somebody's gonna grab it, because that's what happened the last 2 times I mentioned one of these deals on the stream. Or if any of you are watching the replay, go take a look. Just go to the announcements channel on the Discord and you can see if it's still available. All right, have a great night. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow or Thursday.